The recent wave of stories in the news about consuming human flesh has brought cannibalism back into the spotlight. But what drives someone to consume human flesh? What is the taste? And what are the risks of eating our own flesh? And if we were to consider extreme necessity, which part of the human body would be most suitable to eat? Welcome. You are connected to Brugger Filmes channel, so enjoy this intriguing production, subscribe to the channel, and share our videos with your friends. Let's dive into this topic by returning to the remote lands of Papua New Guinea, where the Fore tribe, isolated from the outside world until the 1930s, was the stage for a tragic epidemic called laughing death. The practice of consuming the brains of their deceased in search of wisdom resulted in the Kuru disease, caused by the consumption of brain tissue contaminated with a form of spongiform encephalopathy. The Fore chose to eat their dead instead of burying them. Women would extract the brains for cooking and roast the bodies, offering snacks to small children. Kuru caused a rapid deterioration of mental function and loss of motor coordination, leading to the affected individuals losing control of their bodies and emotions. Symptoms could take decades to appear, and death occurred within 2 years of the first symptoms and diagnosis. The last recorded case of death from Kuru in the tribe occurred in 2006. Since then, the Fore have abandoned the practice of cannibalism. But ultimately, what drives someone to consume human flesh? In addition to ritualistic and survival cannibalism, speculation surrounds criminal cannibalism. Although not listed as a psychiatric disorder, psychologists suggest that criminal cannibals may suffer from schizophrenia or carry severe childhood traumas. Several criminals who were arrested for committing heinous crimes, such as cannibalism, went through disturbing moments in their childhood. Famous characters like Dr. Hannibal Lecter and Buffalo Bill from the movie The Silence of the Lambs were inspired by a combination of two real-life infamous serial killers, Ted Bundy and Ed Gein, the latter of whom killed and skinned his victims, turning their skin into ornaments and clothing.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Leaving the realm of fiction and cinema, another notable cannibal who inspired films and series was Jeffrey Dahmer, an American cannibalistic serial killer who was murdered in prison. Another real-life cannibal was Albert Fish, a cannibal, serial killer, and pedophile who was executed in 1936. One of the most remarkable cases of cannibalism involved the 16 members of the Stella Maris rugby team who survived a plane crash in the Andes in 1972. They had to eat the deceased to survive the ordeal of 72 days awaiting rescue. This story inspired several films, including Alive in 1993 and The Society of the Snow, which premiered on Netflix. But the crucial question is it worth resorting to human flesh to survive? Well, one thing we know for sure is that it's worth subscribing to Brugger Filmes channel, giving it a thumbs up, and sharing our videos with your friends. Human flesh is a low-calorie source, approximately half the calories of beef, for example. However, the risks of consuming human flesh begin with the possibility of intoxication from diseases that may be present in the blood. Even if you don't die from contracting a disease, mass consumption of human anatomy does not seem to be very good for the body. An autopsy was performed on Tarot, a famous French cannibal from the 18th century, and it was found that his body was filled with pus, ulcers, and abnormally enlarged stomach, liver, and gallbladder. Cannibalism is a practice that facilitates the emergence of diseases specific to humans. A disease that affects a chicken is unlikely to be suitable for infecting a human, so eating the flesh of other species is not a problem. However, if we ingest the flesh of another person with a disease, we are invariably in trouble. In various religious traditions, ethical and moral principles prohibit cannibalism, and sacred texts often emphasize respect for human life and the integrity of the body. But what would human flesh taste like?
Yes. Let's try them, please.
I would really like some.
It is good.
According to Armin Meiwes, a famous German internet cannibal, he stated that human flesh tastes much like pork. He said in an interview from his cell, "Human flesh tastes like pork, a bit more bitter, stronger. It tastes very good." Meiwes sought voluntary victims on an internet fetish site. A willing participant consented to Miwi's killing her and consuming her flesh. The man then killed his victim and was arrested a few months later, convicted of manslaughter and murder. Officials went to the man's house and found parts of the victim and a videotape with disturbing crime scenes. The cannibal would keep parts of the victim to eat on special occasions. In 1920, some German serial killers sold human flesh on the black market, labeling it as pork. Cannibalism may not be considered a crime in various countries. However, despite society's general repulsion towards something so morbid, there are laws that make it illegal to obtain and consume human flesh. Even if one person gives another consent to eat them after committing suicide, the cannibal can still face criminal and civil charges for desecration of a corpse. In Brazil, a couple lured their victims with job offers. Known as the Cannibals of Garanhuns, they killed 2 women and kept the bodies in the backyard of their residence. They used the human flesh of the women to fill the snacks they sold in the city. In the case of the Uruguayan rugby player's flight that crashed in the Andes in 1972, the Catholic Church forgave the survivors who ate the flesh of the deceased. For the Church, it was an extreme condition for the preservation of life. Now, answer this. If you were ever in the unlikely situation of having to resort to human flesh to survive, which part would you choose? Come on that. According to certified nutritionist at Yale, Dr. Jim Stepani, the brain and muscles are probably your best bet. Muscles provide protein, and the brain provides slow-burning energy since it is rich in fat and glucose. However, the brain poses an additional risk as it is the part of the body with the highest concentration of prions, which give rise to the fatal disease mentioned here. The liver and kidneys are full of waste and impurities as they are part of our body's filtration system, so it's best to avoid them. Drinking the blood, even if it is cleansed of diseases, is also not good, as the blood is irritating to the stomach. Eyes contain an acidic solution that can make humans sick, and fingers and toes are full of cartilage that the body cannot digest. In other words, the best option is to avoid it.
You have to eat, Numa. It's not right, Pancho.
We hope we've satisfied your curiosity in an intriguing way. Continue following our productions here on Brugger Filmes channel, subscribe, activate notifications, and share with your friends. Send us video suggestions and comments. We love responding to all of them. We look forward to your company in our upcoming videos. A big hug and see you soon.